my dear listeners, and welcome back
to Lavender Town Radio.
Zombies. In the world of Pokémon, we always thought if it happened, it would be a virus, a curse from a ghost type. We never imagined it would be so beautiful. For those just joining us, in Part 1, gym leader Erica discovered a secret garden in a Lumiose alley born from a corrupted megastone. Its hypnotic scent lured a starving orphan girl, Lily, inside. After eating a single glowing petal, she was transformed, a mindless petal zombie. We left Erica and her friend Clemont trapped in that alley, facing two of these creatures, with a mesmerized Halloween crowd closing in. If you missed the beginning of this nightmare, the link to Part 1 is in the description. For the rest of us, the garden is hungry, and we are still trapped. Let's return to the darkness. Deadlock. For someone like me, who is used to solving every problem with clear, decisive action, this feeling was worse than fear. We were trapped. Behind us lay the entrance to the alley, but I knew we couldn't leave. We couldn't let this sickness spread outside. Before us were two beings that were once human, now just empty shells, advancing slowly, steadily, and all around us, a grotesque garden rejoiced in silence, its sweet fragrance now thick with the stench of death. But my greatest fear was not for myself. It was for the innocent people out there. I could hear the music of the Halloween festival, the laughter of families having fun. They had no idea that just a few steps away, a silent threat was ready to spread. "We have to stop others from coming in here," Clemont whispered, his voice trembling but still holding the focus of an inventor. "This scent, it's too strong. Erica, can you hold them off?" "I'll try," I replied, signaling to Vileplume, "but don't take too long." Clemont and his Luxray rushed toward the entrance of the alley. I heard a device being activated, followed by a high-frequency, piercing sound. "The sound barrier is up," he yelled back. "It should make them uncomfortable and unwilling to get closer, but it can't completely block the scent. Now it's our turn." Our turn. Now it was just me, Vileplume, and the two possessed bodies. Lily and the old woman, no longer hindered by the stun spore, resumed their advance. Their steps were horrifically synchronized. They had no strategy, no cunning, just a single overriding instinct. Get closer and infect. "Vileplume, use aromatherapy," I commanded. My Vileplume released a gentle, soothing fragrance, a scent of healing. It wasn't meant as an attack. I was hoping it could overwhelm the garden's alluring scent, maybe slow them down, but it was useless. Vileplume's aroma was like a single drop of water in an ocean of toxic perfume. Lily reached me first. Though she was just a child, her strength was phenomenal. She swung her arm, and I had to flinch back to dodge it. "Lily, snap out of it," I called, a hopeless effort. "Luxray found it!" Clemont shouted from behind me. "The energy source! It's at the base of the largest tree at the end of the alley. It's the Venusaurite!" I glanced toward the back of the alley. A grotesque, oversized tree, bigger than any that could possibly grow in such a confined space, was pulsing with a brilliant light from its roots. That stone was the heart of this monster. "You hold them off," Clemont said. "Me and Luxray will approach the stone." But the moment Clemont tried to run past me, the mother tree seemed to sense his intent. Large roots, as thick as my arm, burst from the stone pavement and whipped violently toward him. "Watch out!" I yelled. Luxray quickly fired a thunderbolt, severing the root, but more and more kept emerging. Clemont was pinned down. The situation grew worse. While I was distracted, Lily had grabbed my ankle, An incredible force held me fast. I tried to pull free, but couldn't. The old woman had closed in as well, her withered hands reaching for me. The small flowers on Lily began to vibrate, preparing to burst open and release a cloud of deadly pollen directly into my face. This was it. It was over. "Clemont!" I shouted, one last desperate cry. "The stone! It absorbs energy! We can't destroy it with force!" "Then we have to overload it," Clemont shot back, understanding me instantly. "Erica, use your strongest move, now! Vileplume, petal dance!" My Vileplume roared, and a vibrant, powerful storm of pink and purple petals exploded outwards. It wasn't aimed at Lily or the tree. It flew straight for the glowing Venusaurite. "Luxray, thunder!" Clemont momentarily lowered the sound barrier. Luxray roared, and a massive bolt of lightning descended from the sky, combining with the petal storm to strike the stone. A horrific shriek echoed through the alley. The stone vibrated violently, its light becoming so bright we had to shut our eyes. And then, with a deafening crack, it shattered into 1,000 glowing pieces of dust. Instantly, everything stopped. The grip on my leg released. The glowing garden went dark, leaving only withered gray plants. Lily and the old woman collapsed to the ground, unconscious. We had won. Or so I thought. A dead silence filled the alley. Clemont rushed to my side. Are they okay?" he asked. I knelt beside Lily, my hands trembling as I checked her pulse. It was faint. The old woman was the same. The flowers on their bodies had withered, but their skins still held a sickly, pale greenish hue. "The stone is destroyed, but the parasite is still there," Clemont said, after scanning them again. "It's no longer being fed, but it's still attached to their nervous systems, slowly draining what little life force they have left. We don't have much time." "What do we do?" I asked, a cold despair beginning to envelop me again. Clemont thought fast. "The parasite feeds on life energy. We can drain it out. Erica, you have to use Vileplume's Giga Drain. It can safely absorb grass-type energy, but you have to transfer that energy into another vessel. Otherwise, Vileplume itself will be poisoned." He pointed to the dead mother tree. "Use that as the container." A spark of hope. I turned to Vileplume. "Can you do it?" Vileplume nodded resolutely, but Clemont shook his head, his face a mask of pain. There isn't enough time. Their life force is fading too quickly. Looking at these readings, you can only save one of them." "One of them?" No, it couldn't be. I looked down at Lily, so small and fragile. I remembered her clever smile, my promise of a magical place. Then I looked at the old woman, an innocent victim of a cruel experiment, who just wanted to sell a few flowers to get by. How could I possibly choose? And then, the old woman, Elodie, opened her eyes. Just a fraction. They were no longer empty. For a brief, fleeting moment, a final spark of consciousness had returned. She looked at me, then at Lily. A man," she rasped, her voice a faint whisper. He gave me the stone, said it would make the most beautiful flowers. I'd be rich." She coughed violently, a small withered petal falling from her lips. "I was too greedy. I'm sorry. The child. Save her." She tried to move, her withered hand grasping mine, her eyes filled with an infinite regret and a final plea. Tears streamed down my face. I nodded. "I promise." "Erica, hurry!" Clemont urged. I turned to Vileplume. "Begin. Drain the energy from the little girl. Transfer it to the tree." My vial plume bent down, its vines gently touching Lily. A sickly green light was pulled from her body, flowing through vial plume and into the dead mother tree. The process seemed to take an eternity. I could only hold Lily's hand and pray. Finally, the light faded. Clemont's readings signaled success. Lily's body returned to its normal skin tone, but she didn't wake up. "Clemont," I asked, my voice breaking. "Why isn't she—" Clemont checked again. He was silent. Then he slowly shook his head. "The parasite is gone, but her life force, it was too depleted. Erica, we were too late. No, 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 no. I had promised. It can't be," I sobbed, cradling Lily's small, still body. "She has to live. She has to see the magic." In my desperation, I remembered my gift, the gracidia flower. It was still tucked in her hair, but it had turned a complete ashen gray. I had thought it was dead, but it symbolized gratitude, joy. I gently took the flower out, and then carefully tucked it back into her hair. "I'm sorry, Lily," I whispered through my tears. "I broke my promise." The moment I did, a strange thing happened. The gracidia flower, for one final moment, pulsed with a soft white light, and then it completely withered, disintegrating into dust right in her hair. It was the final sign, the sign that all life was gone. I broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. A deep, agonizing grief, a sense of failure more bitter than any battle I had ever lost. I had fought, I had made a painful choice, and in the end, I had still failed. And then, through my sobs, I felt something. A tiny, weak hand gently touching my cheek. I snapped my head up. Lily's eyes were slowly opening. They were clear and full of life. She looked at me, a faint smile playing on her lips. "You," she rasped, "promised you would trade flowers with me." Magic. It had really happened. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I just hugged her tightly. We turned to the old woman, but it was too late. She had passed away peacefully, a faint smile on her lips. A few days later, Lily had made a full recovery. She remembered nothing of the garden or the glowing flowers, only that she had met a very beautiful flower queen. I had kept my promise. I took her to Looker's office. Emma, with her kind heart, happily agreed to adopt and care for her. Lily had finally found her garden. Before leaving Lumiose, I asked Clemont to take a walk with me by the Seine River, telling him I wanted to enjoy the Lumiose air one last time. He, thinking it was just a heartfelt chat, gladly agreed. "You know, Clemont," I said, looking down at the water, "I was able to save Lily, but I keep wondering how many other children are out there just like her, wandering, hungry, invisible in a dazzling city like this." "It's a sad truth," Clemont said, his face pensive. "We, the city's guardians, sometimes we focus so much on the machines, the towers, the big threats, that we forget the dark corners right at our feet. The responsibility of a leader isn't just to protect the city from villains. It's also to care for the smallest, most vulnerable flowers trying to grow within it." Clemont nodded, agreeing. He thought that was all I wanted to say. But then I stopped. I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. "And," I said, "that responsibility also includes pulling out the toxic weeds." I opened my eyes, and there was a cold, decisive look in them. The old woman's dying words had given me one final target. "You know, Clemont, the scent of evil, of the artificial, it still lingers somewhere, very faint, but a flower lover never mistakes it." To Clemont's surprise, I turned onto a small street, then another. I wasn't strolling anymore. I was hunting. Clemont, confused but trusting, followed. The scent led us to a luxurious penthouse apartment overlooking the Prism Tower. "Here," I said. Clemont, with a few technological tricks, managed to open the door. Inside, we found the Team Flare scientist frantically trying to erase data from his computer. He turned, saw us, and sneered. "You have no proof against me," he said smugly. "It was just an unfortunate accident." I smiled, a smile that was elegant but cold as ice. Proof is not always necessary when justice needs to be served. I sent out my Vileplume. I didn't command an attack. My voice was calm and placid, as if I were instructing a tea ceremony. Petal Blizzard. A beautiful but venomous storm of petals instantly enveloped the scientist. He began to cough violently, his eyes wide of shock before collapsing to the floor, his body twitching, temporarily paralyzed. Clemont stood there, completely stunned. He had never seen this side of me, such elegance and such ruthlessness perfectly combined. I walked over, looking down at the helpless scientist. This is the responsibility of a gardener, not just to care for the delicate flowers, but to pull out the poisonous weeds by the root. I turned to Clemont, my smile returning to its usual gentleness. "Now," I said, "you may call the police." The boy genius nodded mechanically, his hands still trembling slightly as he pulled out his phone. He looked at me with a new sense of awe and a little shiver of fear. I walked to the balcony, looking down at the city of Lumiose as it lit up for the night. I came here as an artist, but I was leaving as a guardian, one who had delivered her own justice silently and elegantly, to ensure that no more flowers would have to wither in the dark alleys of the City of Light. The transmission is ending. The static is creeping back in. Thank you for listening to Lavender Town Radio. Remember, the Pokédex only tells you half the story. We're here for the other half. Your thoughts on this story are valuable. They tell us what scares you. Leave them in the comments. To help us continue broadcasting from the abyss, please hit the like button and, most importantly, subscribe. More subscribers mean a stronger signal, and a stronger signal means more secrets can be revealed. This is Lavender Town Radio, signing off. Be sure to check your shadows. You never know what might be listening.